I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice.
Do your own research.
Consult a professional investment advisor before making any investment decisions.
This show is for entertainment only. Faites vos propres recherches.
Here we are
in another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast.
And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
this is going to be good. What's going to be good, DT? This episode about educational expenses, where we dig into the idea of paying for things. Oh yeah, paying for things? Like private colleges? Absolument. All kinds of education expenses. Thou shalt be an honest John. You stayed awake all night thinking of that one, didn't you? Maybe. Not telling. No es asunto tuyo. Okay, but people liking this story or not is my business. Fine, just don't make it my business too. Sure thing. If 40% of the revenue from what we're doing here isn't enough for you, well, we'll have to talk about that. Wait, what? Inside joke. Never mind. Great. So can we get to the title topic? You mean the paying for college thing? Yeah, that thing. Money for college in general, s'il vous plaît. We're in it. How's that for speed? That'll do, pig. What are you doing? Bada bing, I'm calculating. Dum-de-dum payment plans. You're calculating, Thomas, now? Very funny, you bag of rotten pomegranates. C'est très amusant, Monsieur Shakespeare. But some of the letters from financial aid departments are not so funny. Why's that, DT? You don't mean the ones about academic performance, do you? To be clear, I'm talking about the you have to pay one, not the here's your plan one that you get up front. Well, that's true anytime we don't pay our debts, whether to public colleges or to somewhere else. And if you don't get enough money from them, then you'll have to go into debt. True again. No more extra cash for you. How do you think that makes me feel? Probably like a large, fuzzy, extra juicy peach. I'll be generous and give you another guess. It makes me feel daunted? Maybe. Why? Because paying for a 4-year college can be a daunting task, even a 2-year college. Yeah, especially when faced with the prospect of taking on student loan debt.
Or any kind of borrowing for school.
Which is really kind of backwards, since you're initially hoping to get the loan so you can go. Yes, but that's too realistic for most people. And with tuition costs rising and financial aid packages often falling short, it can be difficult to know where to turn. Je serai un virage à droite? Yeah, turn to the right, I got it. Fortunately, there are a variety of options available to help make college more affordable. Like what? Oh, there's forgiveness programs, grants, scholarships. The important thing to know is that there are ways to reduce the burden. Wow! Can I get forgiveness? Maybe, but that's not the best focus. Okay. What about the grant or scholarship thing? Those are things that a lot of people go for. You just have to qualify for it. Any other ways? Work study, get a job, do a scholarship search, or go into the military. Yeah, or that, or there's always that other method of focusing. Which is...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. You can find us on both the App Store and the Play Store because our message is for everyone. Leave a rating for us, or even better, tell a friend. Whichever you choose, thank you so much for helping us do this for you. To leave us a written message, which just might lead to more in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes to find our subreddits. There is also our Facebook group page, Twitter, and other ways which we'll tell you about from time to time. You can also find an Easter egg every so often, so listen closely. Thank you again, and keep those constructive ideas coming. Before that first break, we were talking about some way to make college more affordable. Yes, we were, and your point? Creativity has to be involved somewhere. I just know it. So it's not just as simple as saying something like, quote, college ruined my life. No, it's not. That was a magazine cover you saw. There is some truth to it, but also a lot of hype there. Well, I'm sure we all know that college can be expensive. That would be true. And so, may it come thy master, whom thou lovest, shall find thee full of labors. Yeah. But there are some creative ways to pay for college. Like what? I'm all ears. For ejemplo, you could look into scholarships and grants as a way to meet those college expenses. Z? Like in This Is Making You Sleepy? Sort of. It's just that I've heard that before. Then you've also probably heard that there are lots of organizations out there that offer them.
Yep.
And that I can't win if I don't play and all that, right? There is that. Positive actions aren't always easy, mon ami. But it's easier to say, gotta win to play, isn't it? It is easier, mi amigo, but a cat you are not. Working on that, but since you mention it, yes? Have we considered less expensive colleges? Another good idea, DT, and that might be the right college decision for you. It fit for me. An affordable school, Also, a loan taker I am not. Well, at least not without a good repayment plan. Yeah, set up in advance of needing it. You plan, DT. So a loan is not without any problems, but it can help you cover the cost of tuition and other expenses.
And don't forget about working part-time while you're in school.
Working at what? Being an AI voice like you?
Works for me.
Now there's an idea, DT. He probably uses the money to pay for books and supplies. Or even for tuition payments. Yet another idea. But what about that more creative thinking you were talking about before? That is a great question. I gotta say here that some of these ideas might be a bridge too far for some listeners, while others won't think they're far enough. True, like taking on roommates or taking advantage of student discounts. That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that. And maybe that has something to do with you valuing privacy more highly. Maybe. Food for thought, at least. And you could also look into working during the summer months. Oh, that sounds like fun. Hey, I did it, and I lived to tell the story. Okay, so was that for tuition payments? Not always, but it did cover a lot of other expenses that I'd have had to finance somehow. Oh, so it was part of the bigger plan. Yeah, it was, for me anyway. I had enough to do when the school year started. And don't forget about crowdfunding. My turn to say your famous splain thing. Listening for it. Splain? Got it. That's what I'm going to do right now. You can set up a page and ask people to donate money to help you pay for college. Oh, you mean like a GoFundMe or something? Yeah, or other things like that. Okay, just be sure you give them a reason to be so nice to you. Oh, you mean like a with 'em? Yeah, a what's in it for me. I'd say being creative is one thing, like when you consider the college library as a possible solution.
That simply cannot hurt.
That's right. There are lots of creative ways to make sure that the cost of college can work for you if you're willing to put in the effort and do your research. Okay, DT, down boy. Tell me more about the crowdfunding possibilities. I beseech you, pardon me, my lord, if I be mistaken, for my duty cannot be silent when I think your highness wronged. Most eloquent of you, DT, but do go on with your crowdfunding story. It might be worth a school diploma. Okay, John, people have set up pages on a crowdfunding platform like GoFundMe or Kickstarter and asked people to donate money to help pay for tuition, books, supplies, and other little bits of the sticker price. What about research trips? Sure, you can also use crowdfunding to pay for specific projects related to your studies, such as research trips or special equipment. The DT is in the details, right? Not going there, my friend. Okay, so it's a lot about thinking about things beyond the surface, right? Yeah, like you've done with College Plan 529s. Yeah, where I've suggested things like paying for travel to school, not to school itself.
Many people have had success with crowdfunding, so it's definitely worth looking into.
So, summer job, crowdfunding, grants, military service, 529s, what else? Investing.
Duh.
Investing?
Duh.
Yes, DT, the reason we come here every week.
Duh.
Investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or other investments. I know. These can help build up a college fund over time. So what's next? Follow me. Thou shalt serve me if I like thee no worse after this next break. So now we shall part? No. I shall not part from thee yet. Where's my knave, you fool? He awaited that next break. Go ye and call my fool hither. So that we can more things learn? Yes, kind sir, that is that, indeed.
But first, break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es buenísimo. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too. I didn't know that being specific can have such a big impact on investing. Now, if you could kindly help me tie this fact to investing, I'll be good to go. Give me that simple solution for our college goal. Welcome to tonight's show about college debt and investing. I'm your host, John. Joining me is Professor DT from a really big university, Financial Planner DT, Student Loan Expert DT, Recent College Graduate DT, and Investor DT. Let's start with a question for Professor DT. Professor DT, what do you think is the biggest issue with college debt today? Well, John, I think that the biggest issue is that too many students and families are taking on more debt than they can realistically manage. This can lead to long-term financial emergencies and even bankruptcy. That's a very serious problem, Professor Doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas, as a financial advisor, what advice do you give your clients when it comes to paying for college? Well, John, the most important thing is that families need to plan ahead. They need to have a clear understanding of how much they can afford to spend on college, and then make sure they're making smart financial decisions along the way. That includes things like taking advantage of scholarships and grants, as well as considering ways to save money by living at home or attending a community college. That's great advice. Does the government offer any assistance with student loans? Yes, John. The federal government offers several loan programs for students, including subsidized and unsubsidized loans, as well as PLUS loans for parents. Additionally, many states have their own loan programs and grants that can help students pay for college. That is great to know. Doubting Thomas, over there, you were recently a college graduate. What advice would you give to someone considering taking out student loans? I would advise them to look at all their options carefully and to try to minimize the amount of debt they take on. It's important to understand that student loan debt can follow you for years after graduation and can be difficult to manage. So it's important to make sure that the amount that you borrow is manageable in the long term. Very good advice, DT. Now, what additional tips do you have for college graduates who want to use their money wisely? Well, John, one of the most important things is to start investing as soon as possible. Investing can be a great way to build wealth over time, and it's important to get started early, so you have time on your side.
Yep.
Additionally, well, there's more I could say about things like grant programs and academic scholarships, but I don't want to sound like just a financial aid department or something. That is excellent advice. One more. Investor Doubting Thomas, what would you say are the benefits of investing for college students? Well, John, there are two main benefits. First, investing can help college students build wealth over the long term. Second, it can also offer potential tax breaks and other financial advantages that can help reduce the amount of student loan debt they take on. So it would seem that these things are true from many different perspectives.
Look at things from the other side of the table. Put yourself in every other shoe.
I have a quick question, John. Okay, qu'est-ce que c'est? What is it? It's this. How can the patience we always find give us more perspective? Good question. Patience can definitely give us more perspective in regards to paying for college. College costs can be daunting, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But by taking a step back and thinking before we act, we can look at all of our options with a clear head. Because we don't give in to things like the past, which is done and can't change, right, or the future, which hasn't happened and will be influenced by our now.
Which means focus on the now.
We can research scholarships and grants that may be available to us, look into student loan options, and consider any other possibilities for financial aid. We can also look into work-study programs or part-time jobs to help offset the costs of college. Interesting. And how are we to work in the idea of repetition here? Repetition can be helpful to us when it comes to paying for college. Take the time to play the right note. As Ray Charles once said, yes, review your options and double-check any details. Repetition can help you stay organized and on top of your college financing plan. And don't forget literacy courses, they're often free. Thank you for that reminder, DT, because they can also give you some really useful leads and ideas. And finally, What about persistence? Does this change how we look at this trade-off? Por supuesto, of course. It can be easy to feel overwhelmed or hopeless, but it's important to stay focused and determined in order to reach your goals. Reaching out to guidance counselors, financial aid advisors, alumni networks, and others in the industry can help give you valuable insight into the process and provide additional resources that you may not have considered. With persistence and patience, you can find a way to pay for college that works best for you. And I suppose this will turn into our becoming better investors. It will, because we start from the reason why.
Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
Salut. À la prochaine.
This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Alter Ego, Doubting Thomas, Fact Checker, A Small Brown Beef Animal, Seriously, Tiny. Facts are important but are also easy. Social Manager, Abraham Lincoln, Media Expert, Augustus Caesar. Psychologist, William James. Sound Designer, Adobe's Creative Suite. Spanish Consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy. French Consultant, Leah, the Do-Your-Own Research Lady. Videographer, Eto Monkoshki. Audio Props, Les Paul. Inspiration, many podcasts and other sources, and of course Napoleon Hill.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts. You can even send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to get the links and stuff. And all those clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices that you hear in our work are offered up by Google, Amazon Polly, and OpenAI, like we say in the show notes. They don't sponsor us yet, but we love what they do, and we just love what AI can do when lovingly crafted.
Finally, you can find us on Podmatch.com, Matchmaker.fm, Podbooker and Podcast Guests, where we consider guests and consider guesting on other people's shows.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Ben Sound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams, as well as from AI MuseNet. The sound effect credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canusi G, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, Sand Emotions, Big Pickle 51, and Just Kidding. Yes, that's his or her name. All on freesound.org. Also, languages are the bomb.
Paul.